There's a saying in the homeless community that if you're not crazy before you become homeless, you become crazy on the street. So there are 5 reasons that people are homeless. It could be a foreclosure. They could have lost a spouse, so death of a spouse. There is the abuse at home. Then there is the fact that there are people that are struggling with depression, anxiety. So in other words, the mental aspect of it. There's a lot of mental issues. And then the last one is there are people with addictions, terrible addictions. You've got to go where you've got to walk the streets. You've got to talk to people. You cannot expect them to come to you. You go to them. Coming to you doesn't work anymore. Jesus went to the people. They didn't expect him to come to the synagogue. So 9 years ago, my husband and I decided that we wanted to do something other than just sit home on Friday nights and watch 3ABN. We wanted to do love in action, so we thought, let's start feeding people. We drove through the streets of Asheville and we saw one homeless person here, one homeless person there. So back then we took a jar of soup and one sandwich, and we thought that was great. Well, we quickly realized that we liked doing this and we saw a need for it. We would drive around and see people living behind Burger King and McDonald's or getting food out of the trash. So we wanted to get more involved. So a couple of years ago, when our Sabbath school was reading Least of These, they wanted to participate and start helping my husband and I work with the homeless ministry. And so we began taking out food to people in downtown Asheville. Well, we started out the first week, we had 25 people, then we went to 35, then we went to 55, we went to 75, and then COVID hit. And then from 75 we went to 100, and then we went to 150, and now we're at 300. Over the years, we've learned through trial and error that the most need is in a city. So the food that we include in our Sabbath lunches, we start out with water, and we put a Kool-Aid stick to go with it for a little bit of flavor. And then we do some canned food, easy open, and always clean meat. And we have a spoon to go with that. We've learned the hard way that they like a spoon. We put a napkin in there. We usually have a sandwich. This one has, it's chicken salad with cheese. And we include a banana, a soft boiled egg, and we even include 2 little salt packets because we figure it tastes better that way. And then these are some of the snacks that we like to put in their lunches. And then the last thing that we put in are 2 glow tracks. This one, it says, "Is there hope for the future?" and "Coronavirus and the immunity." Part of our challenge is to find volunteers that can come every single Friday, every single Sabbath, and on Mondays when we pick up food from Anna. But the next challenge is funding. Food costs money. The prices of food has gone up tremendously, and it takes a lot more money now to make the same meal that we did this time last year. There are so many people out there, and there's not enough food. And no matter how much food we take out there, we come back, and if we haven't fed one person, we forget about the other 150 that we fed. It makes us feel horrible. It makes you feel bad because you don't know how many times that person has eaten that week. We come across people that if we hand them a lunch, they'll say, I ate once today. Please pass that on to somebody else that hasn't had a meal. Hey, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. You been all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
This is love in action. Some of these people will never step into our church, and we may be the only Jesus that they see. That's why we love doing this. My dream for Arden Street Ministry, number one, and I have lots of dreams, but number one would be to get a food truck. And then I would like to go from 550 people a week. I would love to do 1,000 a week. My third dream would be on Saturday afternoon at Pritchard Park, instead of other religions coming out there and having song service and a little sermon, would be to have our Seventh-day Adventist church out there. Oh yes, and we probably could use a new van because the one that we have is like 14 years old and it's falling apart. I guess that would be a good one too. And my last dream, because you have to have 5, my last dream would be that every single time I go into Asheville to have enough blankets and enough sleeping bags and enough meals. Those are my dreams. Earlier this year in February, it was very cold and we went to the mission and we were going to drop off food, and I saw this lady leaning against the wall, against this fence there, and she was cold and shivering and she didn't look at all healthy. And I said, can I give you some food? And she said, oh, absolutely. And then she said, you don't happen to have any coats or jackets? And we didn't have any. We had run out the week before, so we didn't have anything. But I said, I'm going to check and see if I could bring you a coat. And she told us her name was Clutch. And it was so obvious that she had some kind of illness. She was just so pale. And so that Friday night, I couldn't wait to show it to Clutch. And so I gave it to Clutch and she was so excited. I mean, she was just thrilled. And so the next Sabbath when we saw her, I said, Clutch, I said, how did you sleep last night? Because she looked a lot better. She said, I slept all night. And she says, it's because you guys brought me that jacket. She says, I wasn't cold, I wasn't shivering. And she said, thank you so much. And she said, I want you to tell the lady that made this possible how much this jacket meant. Sunday afternoon, we went to the hotel and we met her just where she said she was going to be at, and she was so happy to see us. And so she said, I am so thrilled you guys brought us food. She says, I told my friends here that you guys would not let us down. Every time, she said, we've asked for something, you always brought it. She says, and I just want to thank you. And she seemed so happy and so vivacious. And she also said, by the way, my real name is Erin. And so whenever a homeless person tells you the real name, they consider you a friend, because, I mean, that's just how it is out there. And the next Friday, we went there to take food to the hotel. One of our friends came up and she said, Pen, I just wanted to let you know that Clutch died this week. I said, what? And she said, yeah. She said that night when you guys brought food, she said that was her last act of love toward us. She said she told us she was going to call you guys. She was really hoping you would bring food. And she said that night, she said she died from her kidney disease. And so that was at the end of June. So that story kind of really just touched our hearts. I wondered if our churches were to close tomorrow if our community would miss them. Well, I can tell you that if Arden Street Ministry stopped feeding on the weekend, our community would miss them. Once again, this is love in action.
I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Arthur.